What is going on, YouTube world? He's Steve. I'm Dave. This is the Instant Revolution podcast, episode number Frank Thomas, 35 for all those out there. We're unaware of Frank Thomas and his greatness. And
The longest running episodic podcast on Tuesday running. Just throwing that out there.
Yes, these are hashtag facts. Tonight we have a sort of interesting topic. I think it needs to be discussed, especially with sort of how the market and a lot of the collectors that have come into the market sort of take a few steps back from just base cards, regular base cards. And though it isn't, and I remember 10 years ago, and I'm sure a lot of people that have been to national or expos or just regular big card shows since then, when you have folks busting boxes, busting cases, they took the hits, they took the rookies, they took the parallels or inserts. A lot of the times, if it wasn't a Trout, it wasn't a Dak Prescott rookie, it wasn't Ken Griffey Jr., big name superstar players, they're the flavor of the day. They left them behind. So we're going to try to delve into a little bit of that tonight, and set collecting will come up a bit too. So hopefully it'll spark a good discussion because, again, I haven't heard a lot of people talking about it. I know a couple of weeks ago, Joe Perot, when he started talking about base cards, I'm like, that's when I said, hey, mute. So tonight we're sponsored, though, by Bud Light. That is our official sponsor, unofficially.
Yeah, they've had a tendency to take the spotlight more frequently. The neighbors are back from their winter getaway in Florida, so it'll be interesting to see if the bulk will be Bud Light again, because since they're back, I have a tendency to drink a little bit more. But I can admit that. Okay, not more in the sense of drink more in one sitting. I just drink more frequently. Is that better?
Yes.
If anybody's noticed, and surprisingly enough, nobody's bothered to say anything. I've been capping myself at 2 during podcast nights, and I don't know why. Not that I can't hold my beer like other people in other podcasts that happen on other days of the week. It's one of those in which I don't know. But base cards. So yeah, I really tried to take an opportunity to really think about this one, and because I don't want to consider it a hot topic. It's very interesting because we've seen, at least in the current market, you see a lot more heavy hitters from a base card perspective. And a lot of it has to do with the grading aspect. Let's be real. Raw base cards, certain individuals, may sell for, $5, $6, $7 or whatnot. But, when you get them graded PSA 10, they have a tendency to sell through the roof. No, not deep references at all, Carlos. I don't know what you're talking about. But overall, like you said, I haven't been to card shows in years, but, we've heard stories about, even kids, teenagers or, kids 8, 9, 10 o'clock, or 10 o'clock. Geez, I'm already thinking it's time for the show to be over.
Yes, Gary.
Go and throw and, opening stuff and tossing.
Mm-hmm.
And, Me as a set collector, that's like an insult
Mhm.
because yes, as a set collector, it's always the rookies that typically are the reason why you think to put together a set. But at that, but even with that, as you continually progress through uh, a manufacturer iteration, Topps Chrome, for instance, it doesn't matter if it's a 10-year Jerry Rice. Who cares? You need it.
Mhm.
And when you have people who are opening said product, potentially looking for the latest, greatest hot thing at that point in time, and to just completely neglect it, it's unfortunate. And you know, if you think about it, the stigma behind base cards, though, is they're not worth the paper that they're printed on. And that's been a thing ever since the introduction of the price guide.
Mhm.
When you look at common cards of, 5 to 10 cents, low to high, and then you've got your semi stars and your stars upticking to 50 cents to $1 or $1.50 to $2 or whatever. When you have that stigma surrounding, of course, nobody's going to pay attention to them, regardless if it's second, third, fourth, fifth. It's irrelevant, and it's unfortunate. But as I always say, set collectors are a dying breed, and I really do believe that from the depths of my soul. Set collecting is almost like a dead art. Uh, Carlos would disagree because he is a set collector, uh, mostly from a vintage perspective, which I give him mad props. What's going on, Joey?
What's up, Joey?
Bob is a set collector uh, when he thinks about it. He and I've actually had multiple conversations over the past few weeks as a relating to 2021 tops. Uh, you have never been really a set collector, but there are times in which you'll pick up like factory sets.
Mhm.
So to a certain degree, you are one, but you go the easy way,
Mhm.
which I've done a lot of the time too. I'm not saying that I haven't, but there is nothing better. What's going on, Mike, Paul? Uh, than actually to put one together. When
Mhm.
you finally add that last card, whether it be through a purchase through Beckett or ComC or on eBay at a card shop, at a card show, to finally just say, wow, I'm done. To me, that's almost as good as getting one of your top needs for your PC player or your team for that matter. It's that sense of accomplishment.
Yeah, the only sets I've tried that I can remember, and of course, these are sets I was probably not going to be able to put together, and it was after the fact that he did well, was the 2000 Leaf Limited. I had acquired, I don't know, there's 400 base cards, then it goes, I think, 20 or 30 of like the ball cards with the game used ball or rookie premier ball in the NFL. And I think I probably had about 75% of that, but it was the Brady that kept. I'm like in the score, final score 2000. So there's stuff that was numbered up to 66 and low as I don't even know. It's got to be in the 20s. And I didn't have a huge percentage. I probably had 25 or 30 of the cards, but it's still one of my favorite sets. I know it was probably something that I would never be able to complete, especially then with the frequency it did not show up. But the Brady, it was out. It You knew Pennington would come down eventually. You'd still have to pay a little because he's still popular at Marshall. Still like the folk legend for the Jets. Uh, Jamal Lewis, I'm sure, is down. Sean Alexander, I'm sure, is way down. Um, it
And I was going to say Anderson.
Yeah, Mike Anderson. I mean, you had a solid. You at that time, it was a really solid rookie class. I mean, a lot of them flamed out, which is fine, but at the time, it was. you're looking at like Trevor, and Trevor Gaylor for my Chargers was a good receiver, high prospect. Des White, Travis Taylor,
Plaxico.
Plaxico. I mean, you had R.J. Soward. I mean, all these wide receivers going in the first round. So it wasn't one of these defensive, offensive lineman type drafts where the big uglies are getting picked. It was all the glory. It was all the glamour positions. So
Wasn't
that
Redmond wasn't Redmond in 2002?
Chris and Jr. So that made it difficult. You had subset cards. So if Manning did well, there was probably two or three Mannings to whatever, I think 48 or 54. So you knew you were going to get at least a couple different big name players, but you're also going to be paying heavy prices. But that was the one I don't know how many years, I think till like the late 2000s. I held out hope and I'm like, you know what? That Brady is not going to get cheaper. I do not feel comfortable paying X amount for a Brady score parallel, even though now, retrospect, that would have been one to get. But there's always the sets that are on the horizon or on in your crosshairs. But everything being limited the way it is, like that 2000 Donruss, I would have loved to do the status or the aspirations and the I think it was the career season, whatever one was the lower number, the hollow foil of the Donruss, the stat lines. Because a lot of the season ones are like 8 and 6 and 12. I love those. I mean, I'll pick anybody up. It doesn't matter who it is. If it's Rob Morris, I'll pick him up. If it's some undrafted free agent, I'll pick him up. It doesn't matter. Those are just gorgeous cards to me. They always will be. That cool, almost like what would it be, the 8-bit Nintendo, like serial numbering on the back. It just is, it's stuff I like, but it's not stuff or cards or a set that I want to dedicate that much out of my bank account. If I had unlimited funds, that's one thing. We're all going to be different if the checkbook can just keep writing checks and you don't have to worry about it. If you are on a budget of any sort, you have to sort of figure out what you want to collect, and that's what I did with the sets. I just sort of said, you know what, push them aside. But then when all these Facebook auction groups came up, that's why I've got the factory sets, because I'm like, I appreciate that, putting them together. I just have no interest in doing so.
Well, and it's a lot of work. It is dedication. There is a lot. There's just as much patience in trying to build a set as there is with trying to pick up a big card for a PC, whether it be player or team or anything along those lines. Uh, but at the same time, it's and going back to what I said earlier, it's a lost art form, uh, and this was even long before the way that the market is now.
Mm-hmm.
The look at base cards has always been like filler.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think these eBay sellers end up including random base cards as basically as packing material? There's your prime example as to what people always think of them as. Uh, and in a lot of those situations, it's not just base. I mean, you can get stars and semi stars, and every once in a while, you could get somebody who actually books and said set.
Mm-hmm.
But it's it's not it's not flipper money. It's not easy money. It's one of those in which if a card books for $5 or even sells normally for $5, a lot of people aren't going to waste their time trying to put that on eBay. And although you get so many X free listings a month, you still have your final value fee. And then back when PayPal and eBay were tied at the nuts, PayPal got their percentage and everything else, and by the time you're said and done, you made $1.25. Well, in the scheme of things, is $1.25 really worth your time in those situations. So there's so there's so many negative connotations towards that general term. It's I don't want to say it's a detriment, but it really, to me, it takes away from the aspect of a collector.
Hmm.
Because even for me, I may not quote unquote appreciate base cards as often unless I'm working on a set, of course, but I still keep them
Hmm.
because to me, they're special to me. And I paid for those. So why would I just think of them as trash? And in the current market, you're starting to see a lot more. I don't want to say a lot more. You're starting to see a rise in certain instances for the whole first tops card type scenario. Look at the Brady O2 tops and O2 tops chrome. It's his first tops and tops chrome card.
Hmm.
It's a base card. It is a third year card. It is a base card. And gem copies are selling for hundreds of dollars. So there is a certain appreciation, but you got to be that top tier type guy in order for it to really reach that plateau of being worth a damn.
Hmm. Yeah, we're seeing, and again, that PSA set registry helps a ton. If you're going for the Trouts or you're going for the Griffeys or the Thomas or the Jerry Rice, even like the Topps Chrome refractor for Rice, the 6 year refractor is going for stupid money.
You talking about the 97 that we saw?
Oh yeah, that one, and then I think there was one more. There's a 99 too. That was up to like 68 or something. And again, I didn't follow the end of it, but it's already at 68, and that was again weeks ago. But to have that, at least you're seeing an appreciation that that's a bit of a strong appreciation. But if you're looking, I'd say Micah is probably one of the best examples of this. When you're that dedicated team collector, I think those base mean so much more than an autograph of somebody or a patch or whatever. I mean, those are key cards too. But if you can get like the team set to the top and get that in one felt swoop, that adds to your count. I know he's not the only one that does team collecting. Maybe on YouTube, I don't know. I'm sure there's a lot more out there, but he's the one I've known forever. And he's got over 5,000 different Twins cards. I mean, I'm sure that number's grown, but and he's picking up the Willie Banks 91 score if he doesn't have it. The Pat Mahomes, Pat Mahomes' dad, like a 93 tops gold. I mean, that's an insert or a parallel, but it's at the same time. It's like even if you pulled it now, you'd be like, like I know the name. His kid's pretty good, but yeah, you're not jumping for joy and like I got to send this off to PSA or Beckett right now and have a pop negative one. But I don't know how many of the team collectors that are dedicated like him that will care about the base down the road. That's the stuff too. The set collectors and those team collectors. That's what really carries that base market.
Yep.
And if I don't know with everything going on, the flipping, the grading, because again, you just want to get a Scott Erickson 94 tops. You don't want to get a PSA 10. I don't need a PSA 10. I just want the card. That Scott Erickson isn't going to buy me a mansion in Beverly Hills. I wish it would, but it doesn't. But you have the prices of the graded cards. You've got and we won't talk about it at all, but like the digital side of everything, where you don't have a card that you can physically hold in your hand. It's not like, oh, I've got 8,000 Twins cards, and then in my portfolio thing, I got 100. Well, you don't, because those aren't cards. When you have tangible cards and you can go through, it brings appreciation to not only the history of the game, the history of the team, but the history of the sport.
Yep.
And a lot of what the base does for collectors that have actually collected a while is the nostalgia part. We've talked about it pretty much anywhere we're allowed to talk. Nostalgia is one of the main things that pushes us forward in the hobby because we remember, okay, 92 Fleer, green border, nobody likes it. I remember it vividly because of the rookie sensations. I
Yeah.
mean, I that's the first time I remember people not giving a crap about base cards. They they sipped them. They saw the blue. They were excited. They didn't. They didn't care. It didn't matter who was in there. So if we lose kids now by not having any retail to break, not even participating in the hobby in any way, shape, or form, or going the just the EPAC type route or whatever digital thing is the flavor of the day, you lose in 20, 30 years the nostalgia part, which right now is absolutely lighting that hobby white hot on fire. So if they can do all they want now with this stuff, that will be the grave they sleep in 20, 30 years from now when they don't have another generation to come back and be like, man, you know what? I remember opening packs up with my dad and hobby was hot and everybody's excited and nope, we can't find packs. We're not going to spend $50 on a $20 blaster. And guess what? I can just go on my phone on an app and open up packs and get cards in a wallet or portfolio or whatever. And it's it's gonna be detrimental to the hobby down the road. And I don't think anybody's really thinking about it. And that's always the problem with me. I want to think now, but I want to think ahead. I'm not progressive. I know that. I have my thoughts, and I
I
it a lot of stuff bothers me. And that's one thing that it shouldn't, but it does. So
well, and I understand why you feel that way. But before I dig into that, and I know Paul says he's been catching up, but I'm going to ask the question though, since he's up further. Uh, he mentions that he's catching up in 2 times speed, so he's pulling a Carlos. But he's like, I think I'm a partial set collector. I get 85 to 90% complete and then move on. The question that I have for you though is, do you know why? What keeps you from seeing it through? Is it because of the amount of time required? Is it the funds? Would you rather put the funds elsewhere instead of kind of keeping it focused on finishing that task, or do you just get bored of it? I'm just curious because it. I can sit there and say over my entire years of collecting, I've always been a set collector at heart. And when I hit the ground running, I hit the ground running. Prime example, 2006 Topps Chrome. I have a master set of 2006 Topps Chrome football. I have the base set with all the rookies. I have the base set with all the star rookies. Yes, in '06 Topps Chrome, they actually had I think it's star rookie, but there's a white. It almost looks like a decal on the rookies, uh, which is like a rookie variation. Go figure. I have the entire refractor set. I have all the insert sets. I have all 50 rookie autographs. No, I do not have the blue bordered number to 50. But when I decided to put that set together, I was, balls to the wall. Granted, I pulled the Bush, which was at the time the most expensive card. It took me 2.5 years to finish it. It's not like I finished it overnight, but there was a lot of dedication around that and buying lots and everything else and sorting through stuff and all, things along those lines. And there was definitely a sense of accomplishment when I finished it. And that carried into '07. I started doing the same thing. Base set, refractor set, white refractor set, insert set, autograph set. And I came to a screeching halt because A, Peterson was through the roof. B, Calvin Johnson was through the roof. So there was a lot more fundage that I would have to throw at completing that set. So, I pretty much nixed it. I still have a lot of the refractor set, a lot of the white refractor set. I still have quite a bit of it. I've sold stuff over the years. But I'm just curious, if you start something, what's the ultimate turn off to where you kind of move away from it? Interesting. And that makes sense. And as collectors, we always like the new stuff. Let's be real. I mean, we always like to see the new stuff. But nostalgia always comes back for me, which is why I always go back to, the 90s, which is why that's the focal point on the Terrell Davis collection. However, because that's kind of slowed quite extensively for cards that are popping up that I need or anything along those lines. I actually finally bought something for the first time in almost a month. So it was the first purchase in April, and I bought a lot, and two Terrell Davis cards that were in it. With my eBay bucks that I had, which wasn't a whole lot, I paid $5 tax and shipping for 10 cards. I needed two for the collection, but the other ones were bonus. And it's one of those in which it's like I opened a lot of that product. Is it possible? Maybe I look at trying to complete one of those insert sets because I know I have others. Mike, I know, is doing a lot of insert sets, which, large, much smaller scale, but there's still that appreciation, that sense of gratitude and appreciation for finishing something. I just wish there was more appreciation around the base card. It's not just about the next biggest thing or the most value, because if people took the time and just, of course, I'm more alluding to the 90s and the 2000s where, they had decent write-ups on cards, not so much these days. You can learn a lot about things on base cards. Same thing with inserts. It's not the same anymore. And to a certain degree, I can almost lump regular base cards into like your base inserts though too. Because insert sets have the same connotation as a base card or a base set does. You have your listed guys, you have your commons, your semi stars and your stars as it pertains to the price point, high and low book value. So they carry the same nomenclature that a base set does. So I could almost lump in base inserts into the same topic of base cards. I could see people throwing away a base insert of, Alvin Harper, for instance. Great second receiver for Dallas during the 90s. Phenomenal wide receiver. Didn't get near any of the appreciation or the love that Michael Irvin did by any stretch of the imagination. But I could see somebody pulling that out of a 90s box now and saying, who? And I could see them tossing it just like they would a base card.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, back then too, you had again guys that were good and eventually were solid, had solid careers, but you'd think, even like a Carl Pickens or Herman Moore, you're like, I don't remember them, or if you don't watch football, those aren't names that jump out to you. Or you had a Marion Butts in one, or something. Natron Means. If you don't know the Chargers, you probably have zero. And if you didn't watch football in the '90s, you have no clue who Natron Means is. Literally none. You could throw like a dart, a beanbag, a potato in the middle of a mall, hit somebody, and you probably know that person more than you knew who Natron Means was, because he had a few good years when he wasn't hurt. But you look at a lot of these insert sets, even just the base ones, even a 1 and 2, a 1 and 4, and it's because somebody had a run. It could have even been a game that people are like, oh, Bam Morris he did well for Pittsburgh, and then he started seeing white stuff everywhere, and he couldn't stop. And it wasn't snow, folks. It he had talent, and he just couldn't figure that out to keep his finger away from his nose and the glass tables, because he had a plethora of talent, a plethora of moves, and this dude was big. 5'10", 250, and I mean he was not as nimble as Barry Sanders, but he was like a Mike Allstott with a little of Warwick Dunn tossed in there, some of the shiftiness. And he'd have inserts, and you'd be like, oh, Bam Morris, great. Derek LaVille was another one for the Niners. Oh boy, what a great card that was.
Yep.
So if you have people no clue what these people did, even for a brief period of time, they're just like, who the hell is this guy? And into the trash. It's not Jerry Rice. It's not Dan Marino. It's not Terrell Davis. It's not Steve McNair. So, yet folks have to be educated, and that's where I like where we try to take that stance in some regards. If we've always had open PMs, open comments, you want to comment, we're gonna answer you. If something intrigues you, you want questions, or you have questions, you want answers, you're just curious. If we don't share what knowledge we have with those who ask about it, what good is the knowledge that we have to begin with?
To keep to ourselves and make a lot of money by monetizing this channel. Oh,
Discord.
wait. Oh, was I not supposed to say that? Damn it. Sorry, Dave. I ruined the news. I'm so sorry. Just kidding, folks.
Instant Revolution podcast NFT coming out tomorrow.
Yeah, somebody we'd be paying money for that. It would cost us money, Dave.
Yes.
Geez, yeah, we won't go in the whole digital aspect, but I will say on a side note, in circling back to what I was going to mention earlier, as I posed the question to Paul, just to kind of get an idea of why he, moves away from starting a set and reaching 85 to 90%, which is a damn nice number to hit, but you're right on the cusp. Is the whole digital aspect. I've mentioned this before. This isn't new, especially when it comes to tops. The only difference is the use of the term NFT, which all has to do with blockchain and everything else. But you can look at my phone, and I know there's a glare, but that's Topps Bunt, Topps Huddle, and Star Wars. Those are digital trading card apps, just like an NFT. The only difference is NFTs is the new buzzword going around, and there's a lot of money surrounding it. And what money can, and the amount of money it can bring in to somebody who's creating an NFT. So Topps already had the platform anyways. They're just expanding it and leveraging the buzzwords and, tying it to blockchain and everything else, which, that's great. But I agree with you, Dave. It's going to be a detriment to the future if that's going to be the specific focal point, because it saves them a ton of money
Oh
to
yeah.
not have to physically manufacture something. The problem is if I'm a business person and I'm the CEO of said business, collector or not is irrelevant. And this is my opinion. I think there are more of us who like the physical
Mm-hmm.
than there are the digital. And if you go away from one and put all the focus on another, I think you're setting yourself up for a rude awakening.
Yeah, it's Naomi likes opening packs. She's semi into it, but she likes doing something with me. The gourmet guy for the store, he got some hockey, and guess what? His kid likes opening, or both his kids like holding that card, touching the patch. If I give him a Carson Wentz patch card, they like touching it. I'm like, that do it. I do it. I'm 40, and I still like to finger the patch. So you take that away, it's like, yeah, it's fun. We got a Mike Trout or whatever it is on the on the digital app, but guess what? I can see it on my phone or my tablet or whatever it may be. Can you hold it? I want to flip it over right now and look at stats. Nope, can't
You
do it.
you can flip it over on the Topps digital app. The only difference is you're not really getting stats. It's all about scoring. So the digital piece, at least the way that it is now,
Okay.
the digital piece, you can join contests and everything else. Yes, there you go, Paul. That's what I was thinking. Uh, but you can join contests in order to win certain things, more rare cards, and stuff along those lines, uh, based on scores. So each type of parallel has a different scoring multiplier and stuff along those lines that you play against everybody who's on the app. So there is the missing component of on the back of a base card you got stats and a write up. On the digital piece, at least the way that Topps has it now, it's scoring. Last season scoring for per game on average, blah blah blah, and stuff along those lines. I don't want to bore anybody with it. I mean, Topps Huddle, which was NFL, it's no longer active because they lost their license for the player association. So right now I'm sitting on a collection of digital football cards that I really can't do shit with. I can't even trade them. They've completely shut off the. I can go in and log in each day
Mm-hmm.
and increase my XP, which increases your rank, but you can't trade anymore. So I've got, like I said, a digital collection to where even if I wanted to sell it, so to speak, which technically you can, it's frowned upon. It's against the terms of service. People sell digital cards all the time on eBay because of the apps. And basically somebody's buying a card and you're then completing a trade on the market or in the app for them to get said card. So they are paying money for a digital asset. I mean, right now, so for bunt, which is baseball, it's you can collect the physical cards just like this, and they look exactly like this. You can collect the opening day, and then there's associated variations. So, like I said, it's as Carlos alluded to, it's almost the same thing, other than the fact that NFT is the connection with blockchain. That's the biggest difference. So everything is trackable.
Hmm.
So it's interesting. I understand any company that doesn't go with what's hot right now. I think you know it's the whole FOMO.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So they're taking advantage of it. Top Shot did their stuff. Um, I don't follow it, so it's one of those in which I don't know how well it's still doing or if it's not. But now you have Tops doing it along the same time of when they're announcing of going public again. Uh, Panini's got to be right around the corner.
Yeah.
They kind of already have it too. I mean, they have a digital. I mean, they have blockchain. They created blockchain as it pertains to inserting redemptions for blockchain cards. So
Yep.
they already have it. Uh, so it's a different aspect to the collecting world. Um, like I said earlier, I agree with you. The fact of not having something tangible really just kind of turns me off. Uh, and I don't understand how a non physical asset can sell more than a physical asset, especially if it's the same thing. That's the part I don't understand. And I don't think anybody could explain it in a way to where I could understand why that makes any sense. Uh, and even if they tried, no offense to anybody who wants to try, Carlos, that's not an invitation for you to try to explain it. I don't care because it doesn't impact me. It doesn't change anything about me. The only thing that it does is it makes me think about the possibility of if this thing takes off and that's going to be the basis of this stuff moving forward. Uh, are they going to stop manufacturing? And if that's the case, I really feel, and I'm going to stand firm that there's a higher percentage of us, like I said, want the physical, that there'll be an uproar.
Yeah, I can imagine, like you prefaced it, where the companies need to get in. They need to make their own platforms or get in with some other platform and do this NFT digital stuff because everybody's doing it in every aspect, it seems, of any hobby or entertainment. Because I know I've seen other postings about like musicians starting to do some of this stuff. So again, I don't it call me old, call me old fashioned, call me not hip to the game. It's if I want to support a musician, put his CD or her CD or their CD in Target, in Best Buy, Circuit City, all the places that no longer pretty much carry music or exist. Put them there. Put them on an end cap when they release. Put them at a decent price. Keep that price for one more week just in case I don't have time to get down there. Make it available to me. I don't want to download all this stuff. I can't even do it on the Android anymore. They took away the platform, so I can't even do like an iTunes thing. If folks keep getting away from tangible goods, yes, that's probably good for people in a huge city which have small spaces. So you're not going to have like a huge man cave and all this room and like some Manhattan or Lower East Side apartment or bungalow. At the same time, those people probably don't collect the way others do. They've already adjusted their
Dave.
collect. I thought I heard my name. They've already adjusted their collection or collecting methodology due to what their living situation is. But for the folks that can't adapt, want to continue down their road of collecting their ways, you push them out. I mean, I've bought very few CDs the last year plus. I know one of the last ones I bought was The Weekend for Trista because I was like, okay, I like The Weekend a lot. Again, he's hasn't disappointed me musically. Getting some reconstructive facial surgery and looking like Meatloaf and I would do anything for love, but I won't do that video. That was a bit scary. But I used to buy CD after CD of rappers constantly, and RIP to DMX. I as soon as they dropped, I'd have the source. I'd look, bam, okay, here comes like Master P one week, Silk the Shockers the next week with Missy Elliott that same day, Snoop's coming out with a new one, and Mob Deep. Oh, there's an E40 CD. Great, I know when they're coming out. I'm excited. I can have these tangible goods in my hands. With cards now, you can't get the stuff on the shelf. You see all these pictures of people sitting in front of Target in line. I'm like, it's not Black Friday. There's nothing that's that great there. You're swaying a lot of what's going on in your industry to the digital platforms, which that's fine. If you want to do that, know that the ramifications and repercussions down the road in a few months, possibly, and then decades are going to be severe. But I don't believe they care. I know it's get money now, but how much of taking from the future today and not thinking about tomorrow, how will that affect everyone? That's something that's just it because I know a lot of people don't care about CDs. I know a lot of folks don't. They want to have the just on their phone, have the Dre beats or whatever and hook them up. I don't. And so I know I'm old school, as I said, but I wonder how many other folks are in that same vein. And what's going on, Mason? Um, it I don't know. It's something that again too much frustrates me and just it chomps at my ankles and my toes. I'm like, just be quiet for one day, brain. Stop thinking about the stuff that nobody cares about, at least to this level. But when it's something
It's
you've invested so much time, money, energy, emotion, passion into, you're not a CEO of a company. You're not a, a super investor or whatever. But you've invested all this other these emotions, these the funds, obviously the time, the energy, everything. So you feel as such, right or wrong.
and there's validity to that though, Dave. In you know, I can't speak for everybody, but I'm sure that there are others out there that think the same way that you do. I still have a crap ton of CDs myself. I am of the rock persuasion, so it wasn't uncommon for me to go drop a hundred and something dollars on a bunch of new releases. Uh, it was no different than DVDs.
Hmm.
You know, I've got for those who have actually paid attention in the master bedroom, the TV stand actually has like 6 drawers in the TV stand in my bedroom. That's full of DVDs, not Blu-rays, DVDs, full. So I've always been a tangible person as well. And Ty, just so you know, I saw your question from earlier. Um, and yes, there is no such thing as stupid questions. That's not always true, but let's be realistic. In this situation, there is no stupid question. Uh, honestly, I can't answer that question. Uh, is it possible that that could be a thing? My guess is yes. You know, I've seen cards that have what look to be codes, maybe not barcodes, but they have like the look of something in which you could scan. Um, and I know in past years they've had apps or whatever that you could scan something and it would tell you more about something, whether it be, and I'm not talking sports related. But if memory serves me right, there were a lot of things out there that you could use, like the scanner on your phone when it started becoming more norm. That's what I was, and that's kind of what I was thinking, Carlos. It's probably going to be more QR codes, like we see now, in like the Panini blockchain stuff. Uh, but you could scan something and it would give you more information or give you a short video, like at a museum or something along those lines to try and get things to be more interactive. Uh, so it's one of, like I said, I like tangible. Um, I do the Topps digital apps just because it gives me something to do. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I do it as another way of collecting sets. They do insert sets and parallel sets and things along those lines. So it's one of those in which I open a lot of packs. It doesn't cost me a whole lot of money to do it. And to be honest, you could do them with no money if you choose to do so. If you choose to spend money, that's up to you. But, you know, trading is fairly easy when it comes to that, especially if you're looking at completing a set type situation. So there's some enjoyment from that perspective. Uh, I've known individuals that back when they first came out and certain rare cards, they sold them on eBay. And if you spend no money on said digital app, you're in it for nothing. You sell something for $5, $7, that's pure profit. And it's nothing physical. You don't have to ship anything.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to get their username and then complete your trade and done. So it's not a whole lot of work and it's pure profit. That is if you're not spending money. If you're spending money, then it's a different circumstance. Uh, but I feel you, Dave, when it comes to the tangible aspect. Not that I'm not opposed to change. I work for an organization that all we do is change all the time. We change directions like people change socks, or should I say, change underwear. Most people may not change socks as frequently as they change underwear. Of course, I could be making an assumption, and I could be completely wrong too. But I'm not opposed to it. It's one of those in which I have concerns if that becomes too much of the focal point, to where they put all their R&D or their focus on digital and not the actual physical piece, because that's why most of us collect in the first place. It's because of the nostalgia of the physical piece of cardboard and opening packs and boxes and things along those lines that keep us in the hobby.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting. And I know we said we weren't going to go grossly in depth on this, and to a degree we really haven't, as much as what we could. But it is a thing. It's something that all of us need to be thinking about and to consider what it may look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Uh, Ty, you say that.
Yeah, that,
If that's your only option and you still enjoy the quote unquote hobby aspect of collecting, I could understand why you would say that now because we still had the tangible piece. I would I don't want to speak for Dave, but I'm willing to say Dave probably would say the same thing right now. But if that's his only option in 5, 10 years from now, and there's still the nostalgia as it pertains to collecting, and that's his only avenue, Dave may also break down. It's just one of those things because until you're presented with that reality, it's very easy for us now to say it's never going to happen because we don't have that as a reality right now. And you're right, Ty. There's always the possibility of looking back at older stuff. But here's the other thing to think about. At some point, that stuff will dry up. And if, as a collector, it's about the nostalgia and the opening of packs and boxes and everything else, and everything moves to digital, that means more people are going to be going after the older products, which means you may be paying a higher price point too. Now, that's an assumption, but my gut tells me that that would probably be the situation. Yeah, they're a little loud this evening, Paul. It's reality, though. I For all of us, I hope it doesn't go full digital. And if I'm a manufacturer, I would not allow that to take place because there's money to be made on both. And me personally, I think the percentage of individuals going digital, to me, I think it's a smaller percentage. Um, the only nice thing about it is it's stored on your phone. You don't have to have physical storage space. That's the one great thing about it.
yeah,
But, at the same time, as I always say, I feel as though there's more of us from the collector aspect that still want the tangible and they want the physical. And they can make money doing both. Just my 2 cents. Just saying.
yeah. If you, I know it's a week and a half or so late, but if they do put all their eggs in one basket for the digital aspect, I do believe that. And if they'd start paring down sets, I wouldn't be opposed to that. I know they have to meet a certain criteria from the sport and the players union and all this stuff. But if they go full on digital, and if the prices go up, I guess that, and it depends on the percentage for all the stuff that we'd like to see. Um, if you're talking like a 15% increase, maybe on singles, well, now you factor in the fact that you can't buy wax. You can't go to Target and let's say all this craze goes away, little normalcy returns. You can't buy, or you can't buy a blaster if it goes all digital. You can't buy a hanger. You can't buy some fat packs. If there's a product you're looking for, you can't buy that case. So those monies, those funds, if you're a math magician like me, you theoretically can then like, oh, if I'm paying a little markup here, that's all right. But it depends on the markup. Depends on where if it's 15, 20%, it's like, okay, that's doable, maybe. You start talking 50%. You're still going to be in the tangible game. You talk 100%. You're still going to be in the tangible game. It's it's interesting. I won't say it's scary because it's not. Concerning, that would be probably a better word to voice. Very concerning that the way that phones take our attention away from pretty much any and everything that could be around us. Do you want to look at a picture of a waterfall? Or do you actually want to go to the waterfall and see it in itself? Do you want to, somebody's got an awesome like drag racer car, one of those old hot rods. You want to go down a drag racing strip, or do you want to be the guy watching a YouTube clip of the guy in that car going down the strip? It's a lot of people just want to watch or see a picture. They have no interest in doing any fun activities or anything that can be conceived as fun or interesting or learning. They just want to do it digitally in whatever aspect that is. I'm hoping that enough parents out there, enough kids, and that's putting a lot of a lot of faith in a lot of people I don't have a lot of faith in, to teach and say, hey, going here is much more exciting, much more beneficial, much more enjoyable than actually. It's nice to get the overlay of like, hey, what this is going on. You can't go above Victoria Falls on a drone like 10 feet from the top. You can't. You can't go there and do that. It's just you'll fall in and die. Learning some new stuff, Amazon stuff like that, where you can't go, I get it. But the stuff you can do feasibly, stuff you can do without too much consequence to your wallet or travel or whatnot, those are things that should be continued on. And cards, physically breaking open a box of cards, packs, sitting with your kids, your grandkids, your nieces, nephews, whoever, your significant other, that should still continue on, especially if you've got a license to do so. If you don't, give somebody else the license, let them make physical, tangible cards. You can do all your digital shit that I don't care about, you don't care about. I'm sure folks in here are interested and curious because, again, it's a newer, newer in the sense of like an explosion, just a huge explosion. It's not just sort of like, oh, I hear something in the distance. It's like an M80. No, this is like an oil refinery exploding, where it's like, oh my god, what the hell's happening here? So people have a lot more attention towards it now, even though ETOPS did it to a degree. It was you bought something online. Eventually, you could get it possibly sent to you and made. These
Tops
are
now.
the bunt, or not the bunt, the pit, way back for like Bowman, and I think that was like '01 or '02 Bowman, stuff like that, or the uncirculated stuff, and it's it's it's
Yeah,
concerning.
it's
That's what
not. And you're right. It's not new. None of this is new. It's new terminology that's leveraging in the connection to blockchain.
I'm.
So, in order to fully understand it all, you have to understand both concepts. And like I said, I've heard explanations, and to be honest, I really let it go in one ear out the other because I don't care. Because as of right now, and I'm quoting Carlos in these situations, does this impact me? No. Do I care? No. At this point, it has nothing to do with me because I don't care. I have no interest.
Mhm.
I have interest in, kind of following it to see what's kind of next on the horizon type situation. Yes, I'm interested in that because whatever happens next could impact something later on or what happens after the next, and things along those lines, depending on how things kind of come to fruition along the way. Who gets into the game, who doesn't, whatever. Uh, Ty brings up an interesting aspect since we are talking about base cards and if they are NFTs and it's all this other kind of stuff and the whole aspect. Like Tops is doing it like their base top set,
Hmm.
Top Series One. That's their NFT. Yes, there is variations, and in this case, it's no different than Topps. But right now, until I actually saw one physically to see if there's any differentiation aspect or anything along those lines, I don't know. But from that perspective, since they're releasing 2021 Topps baseball in NFT form, in this situation, yes, base cards are going to be worth money. Are they going to reach the level of your star rookie? I think it's still too early in the game to know. Is it possible?
Hmm.
Always possible, especially if somebody decides that they want to put together the NFT set of 2021 Top Series 1 baseball. So in that situation, there is the possibility that people could have to pay for a premium. There's always that aspect. But since they're creating scarcity within the varying parallels to where they have, like your base pack and then your premium pack or whatever, they're manufacturing scarcity, which means some of those cards are going to have value. And they're going to have more value in that form than what they are in the physical form, at least early on. However, the question then becomes if they're if people are priced out of the digital form of said asset of a base card, who's to say they're not going to go for the physical asset to where you don't see an increase in base cards that way? So there's the cross pollination aspect to where, who knows? At this point, it's all speculation, but, anything can happen in this situation. If that's the case, then freaking go back and re-release all sorts of shit from previous years as NFTs.
Don't
I'll sell some base dupes and get rid of them.
don't give them any ideas. I'm sure that's
But you get what I mean.
yes.
And as a
That,
business, they're going to look at ways to make money.
oh, and
Hashtag invest, folks. Hashtag invest. Start investing in 2021 base series one tops. Calling it now.
you saw what they did last year with that. I think it was an online only release of the the '93 finest throwback for the Topps baseball, or the finest baseball. And those boxes were, I want to say, upwards of $400. And you weren't even, it wasn't like a Topps Chrome box where you get theoretically like 4 to 6 refractors and whatever the auto of the box. You were lucky, I think, if you got like a refractor in a box, sort of similar to the '93 release. So you had cards that probably have no business being, and again, I haven't even taken a peek, so this isn't said with any inclination of what the market has done, but they didn't have any business being as expensive as they were. But again, when you manufacture that scarcity, guess what? Then perfect hurricane of excitement and fun last year in the hobby, then it becomes insane. I, you just hope that some collector, some lifelong collectors are like saying, "Yeah, let's make some money on this. Whatever, we're a business. We've got to make our quota. We've got to now that we're going to be publicly traded or whatever. We're going public. Yeah, we've got to find ways to drum up business. I get that, but don't alienate the people that have given you business, given you money, been dedicated, been loyal to you for how many years, just for a whatever the flavor of the day is or the flavor of the week. Make sure that you have somebody in there in that those boardroom meetings or whatever it is saying, I agree, make money with the NFT or the digital shit. But if we get away too far from our tangible collectors, this could spiral quickly.
Yes, but can I play Carlos for a second?
May as well, yes.
They don't care.
Why not?
In the scheme of things, it is all about making money.
Why not?
And the more profit that they can make, the better everybody looks, and the more money that the higher ups get in their pocket, and thus the shareholders. So it's a gross reality in the scheme of things, but I do agree with what you're saying, that you hope that there's enough discussion to where the tangible. See, I'm learning, Carlos. I'm trying to do you proud, man. I'm trying to do you proud. And at least I pay attention. Although sometimes it may not seem that way. Oh, I was sorry. I was reading Paul's comment, and I was getting ready to take that a different route until I finished reading the whole thing. Because he was alluding to, second year McDavid's going for 17-20 bucks or whatever. And it's because, moving towards a more feasible card than the young guns because of the price disparity. But, he was mentioning group breakers and stuff. And from a manufacturer perspective, and I'm going to take a different spin on this. Breakers are a lot of manufacturers' revenue because, some of these big time breakers, guess what? They now have accounts direct with manufacturers and or distributors. Back when group breaks were kind of in their infancy, you either bought your product from your local shop for your break, or you went through Atlanta Sports Cards or Blowout to get your product. Nowadays, because it is big business, and the fact that manufacturers these days are like printing money, which is why some of these box prices are through the freaking roof. I would be interested though if there would be the big push to go all digital, because that's a big source of money coming from breakers, especially now that they have the ability to purchase wholesale, whether it be through direct to the manufacturer or through distribution. I know you have to be big bucks, big business in order to have those accounts, but it is a thing, and a lot of them do it. How else do you think they're getting cases upon cases upon cases? It's not from their local shop. They have connections. So yeah, and Mike, it wouldn't surprise me. Group breaks and NFTs. It'd be interesting to see what was the last box I opened? Hobby box or box in general? Co-sponsor Squirt. That's for DC, right?
Yep.
Just for DC. They'd have to up the prices though with the packs. Oh, geez, hobby box. What was the last hobby box I opened? Sheesh. I couldn't even tell you. If that tells you anything. It probably would have been something in 2011 for a hobby. Would be my guess. Because I don't think I have. I'm sitting there trying to think of like rookies. Because I pulled Tebow's, I pulled in 2010, I pulled a couple cams in 2011. I mean, I have a 2012 Chrome, but that was purchased. Yeah, it would have to be 2011. I may retract that and go with something different, but if memory serves me right, it would have been 2011. So 10 years, 10 years ago. Yeah, it's and what's interesting is, and I'm not referring to the way that it is now from a pricing perspective. Uh, Going to the shop was, was almost like a chore, at least for me. I mean, my LCS is, I have two of them that I go to, and it takes me over an hour to get to either one. So it's not like it's a hop, skip, and a jump. Uh, but I usually would go for supplies. 200 count boxes, 300 count boxes, 400 count boxes, uh, sleeves, top loaders, mags, that type of stuff. Just because I always like to keep that stuff around. Uh, but yeah, and it's not the pricing. It just, there was, I realized I wasted a lot of money in my prime years of breaking or busting, I should say, not breaking because I wasn't a breaker really, busting to where I could have spent that money on stuff that I would have rather had. The risk was not, the risk was not worth the reward in a lot of cases. Uh, Not saying I didn't enjoy it, not saying I wouldn't enjoy it now. Uh, I get just thrilled and ecstatic when I find retail. Uh, it's interesting. I am more lucky than my wife is, and she goes to Walmart frequently. But I guess since I go to Walgreens every day, I guess it's one of those in which I get lucky sometimes. Uh,
What's up, Joe?
yes, what's going on, Joe? Yesterday, so last week I opened the two hoops packs that I found. I went yesterday and found two more tops hangers. So I filled some gaps in my set down to like 100. That's the stack of yellows now.
Hmm.
So anybody working on the yellow set? Anybody want to make an offer? But I will say, so I've opened four of them now.
Mm-hmm.
And both my hangers, Platinum Players die cut. I didn't get any of those in the first two boxes that I opened, so it was kind of cool. I mean, that's a cool little die cut design. Don't know how many players are in the set, and it's not. Uh, I did pull a gold, number to 2021, of course, and then I pulled I guess they call these like a green shimmer.
Okay, yeah.
Green something to $4.99. Yeah. So all in all, and the other platinum player that I pulled was Jeter, so it's not like it was a bad one. But I finally got the Alec Bohm, and the what's his face for the Braves.
Pache.
Thank you. Just the base rookie. But those were the last two like big rookies I was missing. So at least from the rookie perspective, I got pretty much all of them. So at some point, hopefully, I'll get lucky and come across another one and finish it. All in all, I mean, like I said, I think I counted recently. I have 101 left to finish it. Series one is 330, and is that base?
Well, there's one gold, I think a couple silvers, but I mean it's all from what we've done already. And I think I got another stack around here somewhere.
Are you thinking about putting it together, Dave? Because if so, I have dupes.
I've thought, and I'll ask Naomi, like, do you want to put this together as a set? And you can probably at Target find a binder and pages. That's about the only supplies you can find now.
Honestly, Dave, if you're gonna buy pages, buy them off of Amazon.
Okay.
Yeah, buy your pages, buy your binders off of Amazon. Because I haven't checked them in a while. I mean, it's been some time since I recently got my last box of pages in binders. But if you buy binders in shop, you're paying like 2.5 times, I think, what you can still get them on Amazon. Just throwing that out there as a recommendation. But
I have looked not for binders, but I've looked for the 2-row graded boxes, and I'm like, oh, I need a lot of them. Well, I will not be getting any of them because I think one, like the cheapest I found on eBay, and again I looked at eBay and that was it. It was like $13
for a box,
a 2-row shoebox graded. And again, I looked at graded because I don't trust the regulars. There's been ones I've bought before that if you've got one in a screw down, it doesn't fit in there. Like a 2 or 4 row box, like a regular box. I've had ones that have been, I think a lot of my Northcut ones are of that ilk. So again, that's 20 plus years old, but the 2-row, just like the regular graded boxes, are through the roof. And I'm like, I got my 25, I think, of them. Must have been like 3 Christmases ago. I had like the gift card. I don't think I used eBay bucks because I just had the gift card and I got them. I think they were like 80 for 25, and I offered I think 65 or 60 for with free shipping, and he took it. And so I'm like, now I've got a price point in my head that I'm not get 4 of them for $60, or that's just not going to happen.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I'm like, I did find the one thing I did find that was that I felt reasonably priced was the horizontal magnetic booklet holder. I found that for I think like $11.50 to $12 shipped. I'm like, that's not bad. That's within
Not
reason.
considering, yeah, not considering. I mean, those are typically high, anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, all in all, I'd say that's not horrendous.
No, and that was like the only one that wasn't under like $18. I'm like, why hasn't this sold? I know booklets aren't the greatest cards and whatnot, but like you want to keep some of them looking nice. So well, I'll jump on that and get that out of the way. So, but yeah, they're trying to find anything. I've looked at like cases of top loads and one I'd put on the list. I'm like, okay, that was partially one reason I want to drum up funds to get some supplies. That'd be nice to have and stuff. No, that thing sold like 10 minutes after I put it on the watch list.
Yeah, that's
higher than they used to be. So it's like about $80 cheaper than they currently are going for.
Yeah, I think a lot of us all regret not maybe picking up more supplies prior to all of this stuff transpiring. because that was one thing I always did. If I went to the shop and, back in the day, even when I would buy boxes or whatever, I
Mhm.
still always came back with storage boxes and sleeves and top loaders and mags. And that's pretty much all I've gotten from the shop as of late is supplies. And I've mostly been doing boxes because there's certain sets that I want to actually have in their own individual box. Uh, what's crazy, I mean, at some point I'm going to need top loaders and more penny sleeves, but penny sleeves are still fairly reasonably priced. Uh, top loaders, they're through the roof. At some point, I'm going to have to break down and probably get some more. I'd rather buy them by the case because that's what I did previously. And I finally went through them, of course. But I bought that case of top loaders because I was re top loading a lot of the Trail Davis collection. And, putting other cards that I had acquired in collections, Trail Davis collections, and putting them in top loaders because not all of them were, and so on and so forth. But mags are still fairly, I mean, they're still reasonably priced. Uh, Sleeves are still okay. Top loaders, through the roof. Uh, that 2 row graded box, though, that's interesting to me.
I
I
would
mean,
not use
that's
that.
cardboard. That's cardboard. There's not a shortage of cardboard, at least not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, and if there has been, nobody's told Amazon. I mean, that's all you or Chewy or somebody. It's like that's all you see on people's porches is stacks of boxes. So I don't know why it would be. I don't know if it's BCM, BCW,
BCW.
what the deal is, but it's like face shields. I get the plastic. We had to sort of transmit your process from this to this because again, the pandemic dictated such. I don't remember face shields being cardboard.
Well, and that could also be a supply and demand thing because of the influx of the mass grading stuff. People are looking for ways to store and transport their cards.
Mhm.
But to have that substantial of an uptick if there's no shortage, I'm just going to throw it out there. There are laws against price gouging. And if there's not a shortage of situation or a shortage of supply in order to make said, it is price gouging and it is illegal. Uh, but it's not on a large enough scale, my guess, as to where the government would even sniff it and get involved in something like that because that's small potatoes. It's not like during the pandemic and people were charging $50 for a roll of toilet paper and $65 for a thing of hand sanitizer and things along those lines. Um, Different situation, um, but at the same time, price gouging is illegal. On the flip side, if people are paying it, then it's the double edged sword again. It's no different than the retail world. Uh, they're still going to go buy it, and they're still going to upcharge it because people are still going to spend the money. And all of us wish they would just freaking stop.
It'd be nice. It'd be really nice if they just quit it.
I mean, I hate to say this. I know that there's quite a few people who would love to open product, and if I didn't enjoy opening product when I happened to come across it, I I do my best to try and help people out. You know what I mean? Hey,
Hmm.
give me what I paid for it, cover the shipping. Yes, it's still costing you a little bit more than what you would if you went to the store, but hey, I paid $11 for it, cover the shipping. I'll ship you, you know, a hanger.
Hmm.
Or if you come across a blaster, give me 20 and cover the shipping. I mean, I'd do it if I could find it in more frequent abundance. I would be more than happy to help people out. I'm not here to turn a profit, but that's also the difference between me and other people.
Hmm.
I'm it's no different than sending a care package to somebody, right? You do it out of the kindness of your heart. Uh, on the retail front, it is a little bit different, just because it is a hot commodity, and maybe I'm a jerk for sitting there thinking, if I came across an abundance and said, "Hey, Dave, you want a couple blasters and charge you the sticker price and you cover shipping." I'm sure there are probably people out there that think I'd be a dick for even doing that because you and I are friends.
But I would, yeah, if you found Series 2 hockey, but what do you need? You know that, especially if it's like the 10 of them. I'd be like, yeah, get what you can. I'll pay for it.
But you get what I mean. It's like,
Yeah, that's sort of goes back to it's like, okay, yeah, you want some people you want to charge 4 times worth, whatever the going rate is for like a Panini Blast or Panini Prism Blast or basketball. And some people you're like, hey, I know they just want to open, they've got kids or they're just trying to put together a set. Now you don't see them ever selling anything. That doesn't mean at a local show they might not do it or whatever. That's fine. You don't see them doing anything. If you see them on eBay doing it, or you see them forums doing it, if you see them on their social media platform doing it, then you're less likely to help these folks. But if you know they're truly wanting to collect, or they're trying to bring other people in collecting, or they know of other people that aren't finding said product, you're trying to be a middleman without putting the middleman prices on there. And if you can bring a little joy to somebody's life, there isn't always a monetary denomination to that. Again, that's most of the time. If you heard that from me, that's poppycock, you say. But sometimes just having the satisfaction knowing you did something right by your values and morals for somebody else that you care for, that's enough. You don't need to have a $50 increase, $100 increase. You just knowing you did something good, something that, or you brought something to somebody that they don't have access to, cards or whatnot, or supplies or something. It You don't always have to have the wallet fill up. The heart can fill
yep,
up.
yep. And that's the thing. I mean, I'd be doing this, of course, specifically for my friends. I wouldn't open the door to the masses by any stretch of the imagination, because then I'd be stupid from that perspective. But for those people who I'm close to and I know have been, looking consistently, hoping to find something, and everything else, that's a whole different situation. And to answer your question, good old doctor in the house. Uh, it wouldn't be game worn because that would be impossible. Uh, but it is, in fact, a glorified facsimile autograph. End of conversation. You could claim it as game used. I guess you could, but to me, that would be uh, wrong in so many levels.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, because in the old Tops Huddle app, and I know they do it in Blunt too. They have memorabilia cards, relic cards. They have patch versions, but there is no connotation or no written depiction on what it is. As I've said, when you look at the back of those cards, they're strictly focused on scoring related aspects to any contest. So, but the autograph is 100% facsimile. Absolutely. And they're usually kind of ugly. But it's very easy to, change the color of the ink, though, too, if they want black, red, green, because you can do it all digitally.
Mhm.
So, it's interesting. I mean, I can sit there and say, I have a pretty decent Huddle collection, uh, some star autographs, stuff along those lines, but they're fake. They're digital. It's just it's a novelty more for me to give me something to do. It does give me some enjoyment to be able to open packs,
Mhm.
although I'm not physically doing it. The way that the animation is, it actually feels as though you're really kind of opening a pack of cards. I don't do it with the sound up, but if you have the sound up, it actually sounds like the wrapper's opening. So I mean, they try and really give you the experience of opening, but at the end of the day, it's still not the same. But there is still some enjoyment, and it's not costing me anything. I think I've had the apps for 5 years, and I think between all three of them, and there's more. These are just the three that I've always used. I think maybe I've spent $100 across all of them in that amount of time, and it was only because I really wanted to complete a specific set type situation, and I wasn't getting lucky by trying to trade and stuff along those lines because I didn't have something anybody wanted, and I needed to physically acquire said card. But like I said, it fills part of the holes, but
Mhm.
not completely. Uh,
Now, to get back sort of to base cards, as this question's been sort of pinballing around the mind, is there any card from your childhood or like teenage years that you remember that sticks out to you? Doesn't have to be like, again, we all remember a Jeter, the SP, but we also remember like the Johnny Damon. We remember the Manny Ramirez. We remember some of those, like the Bledsoe. We remember the Bledsoe SP, the Bettis. Is there any just like straight base card that if you were to see it would at least jog a memory or, and again, I won't say holds a special place in your heart, but a certain memory or certain you can instantly go back to that time and go, I know this and I remember this and this and this and this. And
Believe it or not, mine's baseball, and I mean, it's not a base card either. Uh, 85 Fleer Kirby Puckett. I remember pulling it. Um, like I said, I know it's not a base card. It is a rookie.
mm,
Uh, but if it would be a base card, the stuff I opened in masses probably would 87 tops. Anything out of 87 tops. It doesn't matter who it is. I opened so much 87 tops. Uh, that I feel like it was yesterday almost. The Conseco, the McGuire, hell, Eric Davis, Pete Rose as a player and as a manager from that set. Uh,
Bonds was in there too, I think.
Bonds was in there as well.
Larkin.
I could do what?
Larkin.
I think so. But I had to start thinking of some of the cards. But since you mentioned specific, I'd have to go with the Pete Rose from '87 because I remember, and he looks like two completely different people. The manager card and him as a player, it's almost like they're two different people because you have him sitting. He's either sitting or standing in the dugout as a manager with like a ball cap on, and then he's swinging the bat in the batter's box as a player, and his hair looks lighter and longer. I'm almost 100% positive.
What's up, Vinny?
Just for that, I'm actually going to pull it up on my phone and see if I can show you.
The ones
But
I
since
remember, and I remember the score 90. And again, more so for like
the dream team,
the dream team, the Bo Bat Breaker, but then again, the rookies. So you had that cool little, and again, that's my favorite Steve Olin rookie card is that 90 score.
okay, here you go. I found it. So there's the manager card sitting in the dugout, dark hair with the hat on. And here's as the player swinging the bat in the batter's box. His hair is not that dark. When you look at both of them together,
It's like two different people, or
but see, I'm surprised I freaking remember that. That's a long time ago, man.
but that's the nostalgic part of even if it's a Pete Rose base card from '87 Tops, which was as our good friend and hobby pumper, Mr. Golden said Saturday night, and I think he put it on. I don't know if he had the paper of his dad in the warehouse with all the cases of '87 Tops. That's stuff you remember, just even if it's not the most important, the most valuable, it's because it put a memory in your head. And that's the 91 Stadium Club did that for me. I bought 2 packs at a Ben Franklin here. Craft type store had a lot of toys too, a lot of that mask stuff that I never was able to procure. A lot of candy, but they always had packs of cards, and they had them through I think '97, and that's where I had great luck with 90 or '97 Top Series One. I think in like 2 boxes, I pulled 3 of the internet or interleague finest or in whatever refractors, case hits in 3 boxes. But the '91 Stadium Club, I remember that. I'm like, wow. I mean, this is well before set release sheets, and you knew it was coming out months in advance, and especially in a small town, card shop was in Duluth. I wasn't to it until teenage years. I never went to it. I never knew where it was at until they moved to the mall. And then the one, of course, in Superior and the one in Virginia that were the brother sister stores. But opening up those packs in '91 and looking at the photography, you're like, holy crap, this is wow. You're seeing like the rookie, of course, the Topps rookie card on back. And that's when you learned of Topps debut, basically. Gold foil. But in my 2 packs, I got the Nolan Ryan. that was with him looking at the camera, semi in like a rotation or in the about ready to pitch or the wind up, and then with the tuxedo on, and you're like, well, what the hell is this? It's cool, but I haven't seen a baseball card like this. I mean, you saw like the I think it's a Mickey or Mackie Sasser, what out of '86 Fleer with like the huge baseball glove, like the novelty one that was probably the size of my butt. But you didn't see a lot of goofy goofer cards like that, or just something that was like out of the ordinary. Like now that would be an SP because you immediately tell like what the hell's this? Like this, it's not him pitching or whatever. So I remember that vividly. And again, just because of the cool design, it was something different. It wasn't your plain Jane Donruss borders. I mean, I like Donruss borders, but they weren't anything. They screamed late '80s, early '90s. It sort of looked like the background of like a Saved by the Bell intro. It for the time, it was like, oh, those are okay, they're doable, but they certainly did not withstand the test of time. And that would be about the only one I can remember. I mean, there's other stuff I remember, but it was all rookies. It was all inserts. A lot of the base cards didn't have tons of meaning.
Right.
92 tops. 92 tops would be another one. The Ripken, where I think there's like a Hall of Fame plaque or something he's looking at. I think it's a rookie.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. If
Is
I
that
saw it, I'd know.
because I remember that one. I mean, that's a cool card, but you never really had those interesting cards. It was always a subset. It was always an insert set. Like the Dream Teams, we all remember those. Those are cool. Or 91 score with like the All Star, like cartoon sort of caricatures. Um, Fleer with the
And it is 92 tops. He's kind of just like standing there leaning up against a Hall of Fame plaque
yeah.
of Lou Gehrig.
I was gonna say the Iron Man thing must have been talked about then, even 3 years before he broke that record. But
Yep.
that's the thing. It was like that's pretty cool. You don't see that again. Something that isn't just a wind up, like somebody busting ass out of the batter's box. Ricky Henderson had a bunch of them where he's like stealing, or you can tell he's
Yep.
stealing a base, or when he's holding his hand up for time after he's stolen a base. Those were cool, and I just I don't know how much. And again, not having wax to open or having that be like some stupid like SSS SSS SSSP. It makes it tougher to sort of you can go back and pinpoint those days. Okay, I remember that day. I remember this day. That's when he went 4 for 5 with 2 home runs and a triple or something. It's like, you can't go back with that now. It's if you can, it's if you pull those cards that are 1 in 8 million packs or whatever it is. So it's
I, I remember the Dream Teams though
oh
for
yeah,
football, and they were part of the base set.
yep. It was just like a subset with the
Yep, within it, it was all black in the one color photo or two color photos, but it was the black background.
mhm.
Yeah, those were kind of cool. But yeah, it's I mean, outside of the 87 tops, I'm sure if I were to, continue thumbing through, which I will keep doing as I'm sorting, there will be other things that come to mind as I come across stuff. Uh, but that's one of the ones that kind of stuck out because I just remember that being so unusual to have two cards of the same player, one as a manager and one as a player. I
Mhm.
just
Yeah, you don't see that, or you didn't see that too often, obviously, because I think what would have been the last player manager, Frank Robinson, before that? I'd have to imagine that would have been the one, or at least the most recognizable one.
yeah, I don't know. I don't even want to speculate on throwing out a guess on that one. But 87, I'm pretty sure he still played a little bit, which is why they did that,
Hmm.
which was unheard of. Because 87, I'm pretty. My guess is that was his last quote unquote playing year, so to speak, where there could have been something that transpired during that season of which, he played and then something happened and he got, you know, started managing or he was actually doing both roles. I don't remember. I know that there was something about it.
Could have been Billy. I don't know. It might. I know he was with the Twins for a bit.
Yeah, I don't want to claim anything and be wrong by any stretch of the imagination. I always like to be right, damn it. No, I'm just kidding. That's false too. But yeah, if going back to sets and base cards though, if you talk to the kiddo and decide, let me know. Uh, Not that I have a ton of dupes, but I do have a few rookies, and I do have a I do have a little bit of a stack that could help. Yeah, Studio was a cool idea and concept for its time. I would agree with that.
Yeah, the 91, I remember those more than the 93 because there's that sort of plum fuchsia border. And I remember getting Bagwell was in one of my first and only packs. And again, I love Bagwell fans. And I've always been a big Jeff Bagwell fan, and to get that, I was like, oh, okay, I could do a lot worse. So, yeah, anything that just changed that norm that uh, card companies had sort of lulled everybody into, which is generic. And again, playing photos, most people want to see that. You also want to see, and I know Upper Deck did some of the stuff on the backs where they had usually a different, like sort of more candid photo. On the front was more like the playing day type photo. Um, I want to say one of the baseball in either 89 or 90 had somebody throwing a football. And again, it might have been Nolan Ryan. So again, just something where you had something different.
That sounds vaguely familiar too.
And I'd say hockey, but again, I didn't buy much hockey until I think 93, 94, and nothing. It was mostly that classic draft. I was chasing the acetates and Paul Correa, and I think Derek Plant had some stuff in there. So he was a local boy from across the way in Duluth. So
There you go. Carlos threw it out there.
the 89 Upper Deck, Nolan Ryan. Yeah, there was. I like those, like the three times cards, because I want to say was it the SP of Deion Sanders? Had that. It was just cool looking technology. Just something again when you have just generic on deck circle shots, or maybe somebody's laughing in the dugout. That's cool. But if you have that, yes, it was just something cool about that because you're like, wow, that's you haven't seen that before.
Do you remember this? The triple exposure.
Yep, I love those. And they're so underrated. And then pretty much any of the '92 Bowman, just because it's all like high school senior class photos. Any
Some of the corniest stuff ever.
the Cliff Floyd one, I think he's got on like the Belle Biv DeVoe starter kit, and he's dunking the baseball into the basketball hoop. I'm like, that, again, a rookie card though, so I tried not to go down that road. But I love that card.
But iconic set though.
Yes, one I still haven't picked up.
Yeah, I pulled out my so you may or may not remember when I opened that. It's 92. I opened this live on blog one day. And I kept the box. And I pulled a Rivera. It's got a dinged corner. But I pulled out all the 92 Bowman from that box to see if I can't put a set together. And then I stumbled across all my 93 Bowman that I opened like ages ago. Ages ago. Because as I've always said, I haven't always been a football guy.
I remember buying pretty much the full box of '93 Bowman. And again, at the time, it's not like, oh my God, I got this guy. You're looking for specific, at the time, guys that were hot that years later you had no clue until they popped, like Jeter. I wasn't looking for Derek Jeter in 1993. So,
Well, you weren't looking for Rivera in 92.
no. Or Hoffman.
You were looking for Manny.
Cliff Floyd. Chipper Jones was still even pretty solid then. I know Frank
Yeah,
Thomas had a foil, so that was a nice card to get.
who was the other? Damn, I've drawn a blank because there was another rookie that like slipped my mind. That was another one that you wanted in 92 early on. I've drawn a blank.
It's like a Mark Neufeld. He was hot back then for Seattle.
That wasn't who I was thinking though of, Dave. But I know Cliff and Manny were two of them for sure. Chipper, of course, being technically second year because Chipper was a rookie in 91, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And of course, you had your foils.
Yeah, Delgado.
Carlos Delgado, that was another one. That's probably who I was thinking of. Because I remember in 92 pulling both Cliff Floyd and Delgado and thought I had like hit the lottery.
I'll still go
Because
back. Melvin Nieves, that was another one that was huge too for the Braves before he got traded to the Padres, and I think the deal for McGriff.
back at that time, you know, I think $8 or $10 for a rookie was
Big news.
pretty big. And Bowman, I mean, it's just like base tops. I mean, considering, but it was, you know, it. And then '93, I didn't get as much baseball in '93 as I did football. Uh, but for whatever reason, I don't have a whole lot of the football. And the quote unquote goals were no longer goals; they were the rainbow foil. I like the gold better. The only problem is they really they made the cards even more condition sensitive
Yeah.
than the rainbow foil did.
Yeah, for the 93 foil, you had JT Snow and Tim Salmon, Javi Lopez, Cordova, which would have been big back then, another chipper, Nigel Wilson, who was still hot because he got drafted by the Marlins in the expansion draft, Mondesi Floyd, Midre Cummings for Bob. I remember him being, because I think he went from the Twins to the Pirates in the John Smiley deal, or I'm fairly certain of that. Joe Vitello, I remember him for the Royals. Justin Thompson for Detroit. Jason Beret for the White Sox. Frankie Rodriguez, another Twin. Um, David McCarty, another Twin. Brian Taylor, Van Poppel, Neufeld. And then there's what's more, 693 and on. Roberto Mejia, I think he was a Rocky. Then Delgado. Steve Gibraltar was a Red. Larry Sutton, I remember that name. But yeah, there was, again, they just have like the Jeter rookie really standing out, but I know there was
Well, of course.
Vidro, Preston Wilson. So you had a couple guys there that had solid, lengthy careers. Pettit, um, Jason Kendall, Damon Hollins. I remember him being a big outfield prospect for Atlanta. Steve Traxel. So yeah, there. God, I loved it because back then you'd get the baseball weekly. You'd have your stats of the regular players, but then you'd have like a huge minor league report. And that's even then I focused on that because I'm like I love just like the development of the baseball, probably more so than any other sport. I let you can if somebody does well, it's not like well now it is, but back then it wasn't service time. It was bring them up. We need help. If they struggle, send them back down. If they float, keep them up. So reading all that information and reading it, okay, it's not just AAA guys you're talking about. It's like this guy in high single A is last 2 weeks batting 429. He's got like 4 homers, 12 RBIs, 3 stolen bases, 5 doubles. Like, okay, write that name down because guess what? I just want to keep that in the back of my head. But that's pre internet or pre actual quick internet. But that was the way you did that stuff back then. It was fun that because then you it wasn't just okay. You knew Delgado was a big prospect. You knew Floyd. You knew Manny. You knew Chipper. You knew Van Poppel. You knew all the guys that you're supposed to know. Well, where's the next level? That's the guys I want to get in on because I'm not paying $15 or whatever for a Fleer XL Chipper Jones 92 93 card. I'm just not. That's or a Manny Ramirez or a Cliff Floyd. That I want them, but I'm not going to pay that or the Team Pinnacle, the rookie Team Pinnacles. I'm paying 30, $40 for it. I'll wait. But again, that baseball, I've so many people that were in that era were turned off by how Bowman has been. And again, it's not Bowman's fault. It's just the way of the nature of the beast. That prospecting has really bubbled, really by like the late '90s. And you had Jose Cruz Jr. That was the first one that was just like, I need to get that card. And then it started with basically started with him where everything was nuts from the Bowman standpoint. And
Good
then the
old
92
Bauman.
Bowman, I can pronounce. I know what his name is. It's Tua Tungavailoa. But now we got 2020 Bauman. No, not Todd Bauman. Come on, it's Bauman.
Bauman. Bauman baseball.
But 92 Bowman wasn't hot out of the gate. It wasn't like, oh my God, this is the best. It's like a few months into it, people are like, man, I really don't see much of this stuff. It's not like it used to be where it's basically your 87 tops design type, just boring or whatever it may be. It's not that curvature cardboard you get to you left it in the humidity, it'd look like a Indianapolis Colt U on the helmet, the Colt logo. Um, Glossy both sides and they're nice. Again, I won't say nice pictures. It's oddball pictures on there. The high school grad pictures.
Different.
Yeah, I mean it's like they're not the greatest. Well, guess what? They stood the test of time because people still talk about them to this day. So,
Yep.
but that Jose Cruz, that thing was, I think, the first Bowman. Again, Vladimir, Andrew, and then Roland in '95 with Abreu and Bartolo Colon. But at the same time, that craze came a little later, especially what '96 World Series with Andrew Jones hitting the home runs is like the youngest guy at the time then. That started to blow up then, but then Cruz was already being talked about, and then when Bowman put him in '97, that's like I said, the first time I remember just stupid high. I got the Bowman right away and I sold it for $20. I'm like, okay, done.
Yeah, Ty, he would have been better off paying that price for 92 or 93.
Yeah,
That is, if you could find it for that price. I don't know what they go for these days, but 92, you get a crap ton of cards.
yeah,
A
because
crap ton.
14 or 16 a pack plus the foil.
I don't know. Let's see if it actually says. Oh, it doesn't say. But I mean, I think 36 packs. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I actually kept the box. Nostalgia, I guess.
Well, yeah, you didn't see him anywhere. I never remembered seeing at the card shops in Superior or anywhere else. And that used to be something where you could find Bowman pretty much anywhere. And all of a sudden it became super ultra limited.
It's one of those. I mean, I kept the retro lunch boxes.
Yep.
Uh, I kept my exquisite for both 2007 and 2009. just because of the price point. I don't think I kept any other boxes, so to speak. Oh, I kept some of the tens from '06 playoffs
Okay.
just because the base set, you know, kind of sits in the tin itself. That's why I sent one to Bob, because a lot of them I actually pulled the set out and just put them in, you know, like a 600 count box and put like 2 or 3 sets in it or whatever. But a few of the tins I kept. But outside of that, but yeah, I have both the Elway and the Terrell Davis retro lunch boxes, and I do have a Jordan too, somewhere.
Allegedly.
Well, somewhere in the closet over here in a box somewhere. So what else
So,
we want to go ahead?
is there anything else on the eBay radar
Um,
besides the usual buy it now best offers that are overpriced by about 15, 20 times?
I have a lot of stuff, a lot of TD stuff like that on there, just to see.
Mm.
It's more along the lines of I'm still gauging some of the influx of his market, so to speak. Uh, believe it or not, a lot of the stuff I have is like lots to try and fill gaps on sets. Uh, I'm watching some individual cards pertaining to sets, some of the higher dollar ones, just to prepare myself, I guess, and get an idea of a price point. Um, some I think are higher than what they should be. Uh, so it's some of that's going to be a patience thing. Uh, I haven't put any sets on the watch list in a while. Uh, most of it really is just gauging the Terrell Davis market, and then quite a few lots for sets because I really want to try and focus on that a little bit more. Uh, there's just not a whole lot of stuff out there that's being listed that I need that's in my price range for Terrell Davis. At least it kind of fits in the realm that I'm looking for. That's kind of slowed and dried up a little bit, so it's easy for me to step away briefly or even long term for that matter. I still do my searches.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that I don't. It's just not as frequent as it was when every time I turned around, something new was being listed. It seemed. Uh, so it's reached that point to where I can be, I can feel comfortable starting to look at other things and try and fill some gaps and it not be substantial as far
Mhm.
as the amount of money. So Mike, it's a combination of things. So a lot of them I do actually in individual boxes. So I'll put, like the 2021 Tops Series 1. If I finish it, it'll probably go in a 400 count box by itself. Uh, others, like for right now, I have in one of the boxes over here. Uh, it's a 5,000 count box, but I did like little separators like this, and I write the set on them and separate them in a 5,000 count box. Uh, for some, just because I'm out of room for individual boxes until I can find until I can figure out more space to store them. So I do them both. I prefer them in their own individual box because it would be easy as I get stuff in to be able to, the other issue is it's not in any order either. So sometimes I have to, a lot of the newer stuff that I've put in individual boxes, I know exactly where it is. So it's not that big of a deal to go find them. But if they're older sets or something along those lines, it may take a little bit of time to find them. Right now I have, let's see. One, two, three. Okay, so that one's complete. That one didn't count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I have 14 right now on the table that I haven't checklisted yet. Some, well, that's not 100% true. Some of which I've checklisted, some I haven't. But they're still just sitting here on the table. And it spans 3 of the 4 sports right now. And I don't know specifically how I'll store these because as of right now, I have no 3, 4, 600 count boxes to stick them in. So right now, that's why a lot of them are going in the 5,000 count boxes. It's easier that way. And I do use decoys also to separate them. So like I said, I'll use this and put the set name on it. And then I'll also use a decoy to separate them, just to kind of give it that a little bit of extra separation. That's one thing I'm short on. That was great and wonderful when I was opening freaking all sorts of boxes all the time. I had decoys running out my ass. This is all I have. This is all I have left. And this ain't going to last me a whole lot of time. So if anybody has some spare decoys,
message. I'd say message if you do it all. Here, hobby box. He used to have just gobs of things.
And there for a while, and this was years ago. And I don't know if it still applies, but he would send if you paid the shipping for like a medium or a flat rate box, he'd just ship you some. So I need to take the time and reach out, shoot him an email, see if he still does it, and see if he would do that. Because, like I said, since I still like to separate, and I would show you, but unfortunately, I've got crap on top of the boxes, so you could actually see kind of what it looks like. But I prefer to add that additional separation if I can. In some of the boxes, there's a few instances in which if I'm close to like 2 sets or 3 sets, and let's say from one set I'm missing like 10 cards, and to complete a second set it may be 30 cards, and then for a third set would be like 60 cards. I actually checklisted each one of them.
Okay.
Because that's still it's still potentially feasible to complete all 3 of them.
Oh yeah.
Not that I need 3 of them, but it's one of those in which if it's that close, is that a jab there, Paul, to indicate maybe I haven't posted on Instagram in a while? Or is that just a recommendation? Figured I'd pose the question since, I think it's been like 2 weeks since I posted. Haven't been in here very much, and it's one of those in which nothing has sparked my desire to post anything. The last card I posted was my magenta precious metal from 2013 retro, numbered to 5. But that was sparked by another individual posting theirs. A little column A and a little column B. Touche. Touche. Yeah, I need to do better. Good old Sport Flicks artist proof. Is that Neil O'Donnell?
Yep.
Who is that? That's
Furlong.
not. Oh, okay.
This was a lot that I had won up. Yeah, notice
Carlos Baerga.
artist proof.
Old Justice. That's nice. Is that Mark Grace?
Caminiti.
Oh, I was in the era at
Yeah.
least,
Nobody. I don't.
but it's an artist proof. You looking for a Bubby Brister there, Vinny?
Nice 8 beer. Your winner one time. That's about his only claim to fame.
I at least know the name. Gary Sheffield. Jeff Kent. See, some of these guys I know. Salmon.
Yep. And the last one, which it's like this has got to be worth the price of the lot alone.
Ricky.
So that was the picture too. You always would see on Ricky cards. And I mean, that's what I like to see, a smile and him having a good time, because if he wasn't playing your team, you loved him a lot. If he was playing your team, you were swearing up a storm, especially if he hit like a leadoff home run, because he'd flip that bat, do that twirl, kiss his cross, and start running the bases like sprinting. And I'm like, oh, but I loved him. I loved the energy he brought.
He was a strange duck, though. Strange duck. I don't know if I showed this before, but this was something that, in sorting through stuff, most people are going to be like, okay, nothing great. It's the no foil or the
No protector.
no protector, and it's PC.
Yeah.
But since we were talking about base cards,
Here's one, but it's
hot commodity.
No, Tom Brady.
O2 tops, not the chrome, but O2 tops. And I know I showed this before too, but this is so freaking random. But still cool nonetheless. At least I think so.
Was that Yvonne Lendl?
No. Try again.
Boris Becker?
Djokovic. And it doesn't pull up, but that's, I think that, I don't know if they call it silver or platinum.
Okay.
But it's numbered to 25.
Might be a decent card. I think
in graded condition, I think it's even better. But then these are the bronze.
I don't know what year it is. I've got a Michael Chang with, I think, a piece of Roland Garros on there from the French Open. And I loved watching him.
Out of all the parallels, when I was looking through this, And yes, I think I have a full set of these, which I know is crazy. But of all the parallels, this was the what really like blew my mind. Outside of the Williams sisters, and I can't remember if they're even in the set. But you've got Djokovic,
Hmm.
who is or was a number one. You've got Kornikova. You've got Nadal. Then you've got a bronze, Roddick. These are all number one players. And then a silver, number 299 of Federer. Of all the things to stumble across when you're sorting through stuff, and all the parallels are like big name players. And the set is not all big name players either. I mean, there's good ones in there. You
Yeah.
They wouldn't have put them in a set if they weren't. But I just thought it was kind of cool that all the parallels that I had from those were big name people.
Yeah, you could have done a lot worse with. Which, God, there's another American player that was always in like the top, right around the 15th ranking that they, and I can't remember who it was, but you could have got him, or again for the time it wouldn't have been bad, but like Martina Hingis now after she retired really early on, uh, Monica Seles, Steffi Graf, those two more legend, Capriati.
Navratilova, Billie Jean King. Yes, I know my tennis, folks.
You know, we're rattling off some names.
Uh, but that was one of those things that I.
Now, if Name would watch this show, that is I believe, full Chippewa. Henry Boucher. He signed. He was signing, I think, a book, and of course, this was how many? This must have been 4 years ago at one of the stores here in Ely. Of course, I had to work, so I got one of the guys that worked there got me a puck signed. I would have much rather had the book, but I was like, I'm not going to complain. He did that on his own. So that's his rookie card at the top. So I eventually got to get Leo Peachy, but that's going to be something I'm going to like. I need another collection, like the better half said early on. I'm going to start looking a little more at the Minnesota players for hockey, because again, that's when you think of Minnesota, besides Lake Superior videos or rioting, you think of hockey. So there's a couple.
Riding is only recently, Dave. That doesn't count.
Well, it's they've had other instances where they could have had in some rioting. I think it's
True.
Belandro Castillo. Look that one up. That's another one. That could have been a situation like it is now. But there's one hockey guy I'm going to try to pick up all his cards, and I don't think he's got many. But he just recently died, and he had. I'm going to say he's got some sort of brain issues, because there was. It's like he choked his neighbor out, and I don't know if he killed him up in Lake County, which is the county over where like the Lake Superior videos are taken. So I mean, it's a desolate county, so you're pretty much, your neighbors aren't like you guys down there, or the inner city where there's like people on top of each other. This is like a couple blocks away. That's where he's at. So, and then he went to, it wasn't a mental facility per se, but that's somewhere where it's like you guys are, yeah. If left alone, there could be trouble. So, but I guess he killed himself there. So he was on that 80 uh, USA Gold team. So went back, I looked, I'm like, his stuff is cheap, and he had some big numbers for that time. I mean, it wasn't like Now you're like, wow, 5 goals and 18 assists your rookie year. I'm like, that's serviceable if you're not a drafted player. No, he had like 33 goals, 49 assists his rookie year. And I'm like, really? I did not know that. So I've got a couple cards, I think, coming in for him, but again, from Canada. And it's been hit or miss. I've got stuff that's over in like Ontario or Quebec that's been 2.5 to 4 weeks out, and stuff from Ontario this side, like where Winnipeg is, or what Manitoba, I think, and Saskatchewan, and it's been lightning fast. It's like here in under 10 days. So this was another one I think I shared with the group, which was I couldn't believe it. The guy accepted the offer. It had the starting bid or it had an offer, and I offered him not much more than the starting bid, and he took it. I was very excited. And this one, that's I think my fourth card of him, and I like it because they're all in the Minnesota. This is the rare time where I don't need to see him in the pro uniform. Tyler Johnson, who was like the third or fourth receiver in Tampa. Where is it?
It's not picking up really well, Dave.
The,
Is it the 5?
yeah, and that was another one. Starting bid or best offer, and I think I offered $2 less because it was 8, and I think I offered 6, and he took it. I'm like, okay. And again, like Smitty's a big Emerald guy, and so am I. So if I could find the brodeur of this, again, I saw it the one time from the dude in the Czech Republic, and I thought that was again before I really had any handle on the market. So I bid a strong amount, and that wasn't strong enough. So now it's like, okay, I know what I bid. It'd be a stupid amount. It'd be an absolutely ludicrous number. That's why I'd like to sell some more cards to have that bank in case.
Just in case.
Yeah, I want to have a number where I'm comfortable. Because again, I think Carlos has mentioned it's not one of his favorites. He's more, I think, more of that 97, 98 design. But because it overlapped 99 baseball, 98, 99 basketball, 98, 99 hockey, and then 98 football for the Rookies and Stars edition, or the Black Diamond Rookies edition. Because they had the two sets for the football year. So all of them, they're not all to 100. I think the football ones were to 150.
I think that's right.
And I want to say if baseball wasn't, it was Sosa, McGuire, and Griffey were all of their home run totals from 98. So 70 for McGuire, 66 for Sosa, and what's that, 58 or 56 for Griffey. But I don't remember if it's 100 or 150 there either. But still, they're not easy to find. I mean, you don't rummage through your $4 or $5 boxes at shows or see a fire sale post and people have like handfuls of these. They are tough to come across. So when I saw a haul, and again, you have the Stars jersey, green aspects to it, emerald card, that's Hall of Famer, went to UMD, Minnesota Duluth, played hockey there. A lot of things come into play there, and the price. So it was just easy to pick that up and not regret it.
And it fits though your 8,657,272 different player PCs.
This is true. And then the
Are
one that
we are we at 73 now?
we're probably like 29 million. I mean, I got these going last year. all those
I
101s.
was going to say the two supers. I could tell was one of them like a platinum.
Yeah, this was that platinum update.
Gotcha.
Again, this will be tough as hell to see. It's under the National League. It's in black, so and black
Yeah,
and dark blue. That doesn't really
yeah.
even
You can kind of see it, but not the actual number itself. But you can see the font color.
even even in the light, it was it's a challenge. But I'd shown this last week, and I was thankful the guy accepted even with my ballsy offer of 20% off.
So the question becomes, Dave, how many supers do you have?
I've got the '06 that was from Michael. The Bowman Platinum. What year is that? At 11. The patch auto. I've got that. Michael's got that for me right now. Um, those three.
I saw it, Ty.
I know I've got more. I want to say I've got the 2010, the horizontal one.
Are you in double digits yet for supers?
I don't
Or are
think
you
so.
close?
I've got to be over five. Because right there's three. Yeah, I've got to. And again, that'll be something I'll have to go through. But that's just. I don't know. With the JJ collection, I'm probably at like 7 or 8. I bet. But with the JJ collection, it's the OCD kicks in once I start seeing the cases. And I'm like, okay, this one's in a snap case. This one's in a magnetic. This one's in a regular top load. This one might be in a top load that's too big for it because it came that way when it's still got the tape on it from eBay with the team bag on it. It's like, and knowing right now I can't do a damn thing about it just because the prices of all the supplies, like we mentioned earlier. You don't get down, but you're just like, I really would like to go through this and clean it up. And I still have goals and visions of pulling one card out each and putting them in like some 4-row box. And okay, here's the copy of the SP Authentic to 299. I don't need 14 of them. I do. I need all 299. But if I'm gonna show off what the collection, a solid number, where we're just going off of percentage wise, and then we're showing off the girth of the collection. That's what I want to do with a lot, but I also want to have it where I'm like, okay, bing, bing, bing. I can pick out where these cards are instead of like what's the best copy? What's the best copy? No, I've got the best copy now in this box. So I'll go with the jersey number if I've got a 55 of whatever, or I'll go the patch. I'll go with the best copy that I think. And that might not be like, okay, Johnson's like from the Marlin head. You can see the eye or something because the other patch, like a Dontrell Willis, will have just the black. If both of them have like 4 colors or 3 colors, I'll go with that copy over the Johnson only copy, or his copy or his patch stick out more. So at some point in time, that's something I've got to start doing. But I'm trying to clean up the table of doom here and the stuff I had. I think what did I get up to P and Q? I've got to get the RSTLNE Wheel of Fortune. I got the RST and then everything else to put in the boxes. And I'm gonna try to sort a little more and get the piles for people that are gonna go out. And it's always such a slow process. We've said it. You can get in moods where you're like, man, I want to hammer through this. But for me, that doesn't last very long because I'm like, ah,
Yeah, the motivation dwindles sometimes very quickly.
yeah. You start seeing everything. You're like, "Ugh, it's fun to look at the stuff, but at the same time, it's like there's a million different things I could be doing right now that I don't want to concentrate on cards. I don't want to. I just want to sit. So I always say, I just after work, it's very little thinking time. It's
Yep.
time to turn
Well, and
off the TV and
it's
watch the Mario walkthroughs or car crash videos or tornado chases. I mean, stuff where it's like, oh, that's cool. Oh, what about that? Huh? There goes that house.
well, I mean, I was motivated big time early on with the whole sorting thing, and it's I got through the hockey stuff fairly quick, and started like really busting through a lot of the basketball stuff, and then it's all of a sudden, I don't want to say I've hit like a brick wall. It's just it would be nice if I had sorting trays. That's something that I need to look at picking up, which will really help. Uh, because the way I'm sorting now, it's a kick in the ass. But it works. It still does the job. It just takes a lot longer uh, to do it the way I'm doing it. It. But also, since moving the table out of the bedroom back into the office, I still haven't fully like disassembled some of the stacks that I ended up putting together, and so it's not fully back the way that it was. And since it stays behind closed doors most of the time, it's out of sight, out of mind, and I don't think about it. When it was in the bedroom, I saw it consistently, and it's like maybe I need to do a little bit of this. And from time to time, I'll get a burr in my ass and start working on a few things, and it's a lot because none of it's ever been sorted before. I just would throw stuff in boxes, and once it's all done, I'll probably sit there and go, okay, now that it's at least sorted by set and by sport, now it's like, okay, time to go back through it and now starting to separate the excess by team and by player type situation to where, if somebody's looking for Brett Favre base cards, I can go straight to whatever box and go straight to the Brett Favre stuff and be like, you know, hey, do you have any of these type situation? That's like the long term vision. I have a feeling it'll never get to that point, but that's the long term vision. Right now, it's just trying to get through all the bulk and just get some sort of organization pertaining to sets and everything along those lines because not it's one of those that I always thought that there was good possibility that I, extremely close to completing certain sets and stuff along those lines. And now that I've started doing this, it's like, holy crap. I have a lot of partial sets. And some, like I said, are within reach.
Hmm.
And, you know, uh, some are going to take longer. It could be a 200 card set and I could be 100 cards shy, but it's still worth pursuing in my
Hmm.
mind, especially if I can pick up, lots of 20 and 30 cards for, pennies on the dollar type situation and, fill gaps.
Yeah, that when you have the volume, I think that we do. And again, I know other collectors in the same boat, but just at times it seems like it's never ending. And that's even when you love cards so very much. Anytime you get something that seems like a never ending task, it's or a never ending project, it's soon turns into like a never ending chore. When it becomes a chore, guess what? There's always a negative connotation with that. I don't want to do chores. It's, that's more work than I care to do. It's your hobby, yeah. But when that scale tips to the other side, even when you're looking through stuff you might not have looked through for X amount of years. For me, maybe a couple months, 6 months, a year. Even then, it's just like, ugh. I don't care what you're finding. Again, even unless you've got like 52 mantles or whatever T206 cobs or something like that. Which, and if you're doing that, you've got like what we mentioned earlier, way too much money in your bank account. That's what you're just going through and they're doing a rummage. When, when it's stuff that's like, yeah, I like it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff I don't want to part with. I probably could and get some good money for. At some point, I'd like to get all of Randy Moss stuff together and do a showcase of that. So I've got, I don't even know how many patch cards of him that are just stupid nice. I mean, it's absolutely ludicrous some of the stuff that I've got. But most of it, it's like you said, out of sight, out of mind. Not like I'm going to move it, but at the same time, if somebody offers absolutely insane money, well, you've caught my attention. $1 Million Man said it best. Everybody has a price.
Yep.
So it behoove me and behoove you to just get through it, and at least that's one check off the old hobby to do list. I know at some point I've got to just power through and turn off the TV and just shut down the phone or whatever and just get to work one afternoon. And who knows? Maybe tomorrow. That might be tomorrow's project. If I just
Just
I
just remember, Dave, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
this is true, but I also want a nicer space. That's another sort of goal too. And
Well, if it's like freaking vomiting in other aspects and areas of your space, then that's a different situation. At least all mine is in one room. It hasn't vomited to other areas.
well, I've got the table up in the bedroom. It's hangover puke everywhere there. And then it came downstairs, or maybe it fell downstairs, and it got as far as the table here, and that rack over the shelf and this shelf, and a little over there on the floor. And it's continued to vomit puke everywhere because it had like two 1.75 liter bottles of gin and shot it with like moonshine. So it's,
Well, and the other issue is you consistently are adding and adding and adding. Oh, did I mention adding? Um, and all you're doing is creating bigger stacks. So, which means you're causing yourself more work later on.
no.
At least some of my stuff, even with the ads, I'm being able to interject them into other sets and stuff. So it's not. So the stack for the set is getting bigger. And yes, the double stack is getting bigger, but not near the to the expanse of what yours is, it seems.
No, I know. Like I said, the 2 row graded. If I could find stacks of those, I would buy probably probably 30 to 40 boxes right now. I wouldn't use them all immediately, but I need a box for Dumba. I don't have any box, and obviously over the last year I've picked up a ton of his stuff. Abreu, I don't have a standalone, I don't think. I've picked up, seems like once a month I've got a gob of his stuff coming in. I don't know if the Amaro is gonna. I think I've got a 3 row and a 4 row of Amaro, so I think I'm still pretty good. I don't know.
Well, you started picking up Steven Davis.
Don't have much of him though, so I'm still. That could be a Z folio still. That's the.
Okay.
We're at the bottom level. I haven't done. I I want to pick up more, but at the same time, it's just you try to remember everybody to look for, and you can't. And I don't want to write them all down because then I'd be looking for everyone. And I already look for. Be like, okay, I see a patch of Jack Lambert. Okay, now Jack Ham. Now Elsie Greenwood. Now Cheap Moon Bill Green. I'm looking up everybody on that Steelers steel curtain defense to see what they've got. Then I'll be like, okay, Dick Night Train Lane, Bronco Nagurski, Ernie Nevers, the same. I'm like, nope. Sammy Baugh. I always look for him, and I can't. I just no.
I get it. I'm just not as bad off as you are. Just throwing that out there.
I don't know if anyone is. I have yet to meet anybody of the depth of my problems.
Well, those run pretty deep, Dave, outside of even the collecting world. So this is not a show in which we will dive deep into the brain of Amish Dave Archer. There is not one of us here that is educated far enough in the world of medicinal knowledge to even come close to cracking that code.
No, Keanu Reeves and Morgan Freeman, they would struggle.
And I mean that with all due respect, as you know. Much love, much love.
I've said that before many times too. That I wish my brain on no one. No one.
Well, and we're coming up on the 3 hour mark, Dave. Anything else we want to touch on this evening outside of Carlos's fourth or fifth response for the evening? We must not have given him too many openings to provide any banter.
I think he's watching us on a quarter speed right now.
It's either that or he's been paying attention to something else that supposedly happens on Tuesday. Not quite sure what it is. And no, I'm not referring to NXT.
I'm trying to think what AEW has on Tuesdays. It's Dark, I think. A show on YouTube, or like a 2 hour WCW Thunder Nitro thing.
Gotcha.
No, I don't think anything else.
Anything else from the chat? From you guys? We touched on the base stuff.
Over the stuff we said we weren't going to go over right before we went on.
Yeah, but it didn't go truly down the major rabbit hole that it could have. The only takeaway from that is that we don't care. It doesn't impact us.
Yeah,
that was the biggest takeaway from that subsection. So if you choose to fast forward through that and get to the end to see maybe what we talked about, That was pretty much the Cliff Notes version. We don't give a shit. To a degree, yes, Paul, because it's limited. Uh, so, if you look at, for instance, Prism Golds, uh, number to 10, uh, big deal. No matter what sport. No matter what sport. So,
And I'd say even if you don't go like parallels, I'd go like triple threads used to have. I'd say parallel version.
yeah, I went parallel. I didn't think about that.
If
Uh,
I'm thinking
outside of triple threads, though, what else was? What other?
you had some of the subsets for like SP authentic subsets, still not without being an insert to like 9.99 or 4.99, something like that.
Well,
Um,
SPX finite.
yep, that
Now that I
98.
think about it,
Like even the base rookies from 98 SP authentic.
yeah,
And I mean,
but that goes more towards the rookie.
yeah, it depend. I mean, if you get like a Kurt Reader tops triple threads to 14.99, it'd be hard pressed to find 1,500 people in the world that wanted that. It's a Griffey, maybe you find somebody. Um, and then what's the set, Paul? That just the hockey. Um,
Allure, is it Allure?
I don't know if it's that. It's
Wasn't
got
somebody?
it's like the
Wasn't,
playoff moments are in there, and I know Brewer's got like and again, I don't know if it's part of the set, a subset, or it's an insert. It's still like 9.99. There's one to 4.99. Lafreniere's in there, and he's like to 4.99, 7.99, something like that. I get where like a UD Ice rookie, of course. Again, we go back to the rookie. That's where the value's at. 99, you had some of those guys. Yeah, credentials, the old essential or the old EX. Those are always going to be probably things that people enjoy, just because you have a layered technology card, the cup, ultimate collection.
National Treasures, exquisite. So, and
But then again,
I'm,
you start going up the ladder. The
yep.
lowest rung doesn't have much love. When you start pumping out some of those big boy cards or big boy packs or boxes as they were, yeah, people are going to be more geared to being responsive with their wallets for
I
those.
think I think triple threads is probably going to be one of the few though that doesn't have a substantial pricing type increase. Uh, that's the only one that I can like that sticks out in my head, unless it's like jersey number or if it's the lowest rung, whatever that is, 99, 49, from a triple threads perspective. But at least from the football perspective, I don't recall those ever being big. And I don't want to call it big ticket items, but really for base cards to garner, you know, even a higher price point.
Like even the totally certified. I mean, they're gorgeous cards that cannot be denied.
but they don't go for a lot.
That's the thing.
And to be brutally honest, you can get exquisite base cards and national treasures base cards. At least you could.
Hmm.
Maybe not in newer releases for 99 cents plus shipping, depending on the player.
Yeah,
So it's that's a tough nut to crack. Depending on the player, depending on the sport, I think that's really where the dependencies come into where, it could turn the dial up a little bit more to where you'll see people paying a little bit more money for something like that. I mean, on the basketball side of the house, people are paying stupid money for flawless and national treasures and stuff along those lines from the
immaculate.
player perspective. Do what, Dave?
Immaculate would be another
Yeah,
two.
I mean, football. I mean, you have certain players or whatever that'll probably would sell decent from a base card perspective, but you're not going to see $10 or $15 for a base card.
No, you used to see, because I know one of the guys that the one I stayed down with at in Chicago at outside and for nationals, he would be able to pick up some of the exquisite on the secondary market on eBay, but on like shops or shows, and then sell them on eBay for 15, $20 because people are still the novelty, I guess, was still there in those first few years. But again, I'm sure that has quickly worn off. And yeah, unless you're a Griffey, Marino, Favre, the Brady, all the big players, McDavid, you're not probably commanding a premium unless, like, let's take for example, like name if he's going after somebody and there's another indigenous collector and they both don't have the card and it's the first time, maybe you get a bidding war. Maybe that does happen, but that's going to be the aberration or the outlier instead of the norm. So it's going to depend on the player. And again, if you get a jersey number one, you could get a Bob Hamlin exquisite doesn't exist, but let's say it's numbered as jersey number. You put that in the listing or whatever. You might get a little more for it. Not much. Maybe you might get 500% more than you expect. Who knows? But that could be one of the things that elevates a price, but it's not going to be on every copy.
Yeah, that's going to be the anomaly. Synergy, that's the other one I was thinking of, and he threw out there.
I think that might be the one I'm thinking of, like with Brodeur, the playoff moments or career moments. 'Cause I know he got one to 499 and 999, but I'm not sure if that's like a insert or a subset of the regular set. So they're nice, but it's the same thing where we've said we gotta sort of draw the line somewhere in the collection where if folks send stuff to us, we'll gladly accept it. You don't ever have to. But for me, I can't go after everything Brodeur. It is just there we are. Stanley Cup journeys. But I could go out if I had all the money in the world, I would. And I thank you, kind sage. But yeah,
Yeah,
the cup
if,
limited logos. I think two or three of the brochures have sold in the last 2 weeks, and they've went. I can't get 130 point to load for me at all, so that makes me super happy when I'm trying to sell cards and look for comps. But um, I think they've been 399 or best offer on two of them, and I think one sold at auction for 328. So that's why I go through 03, 04, and I stop, so I don't have to worry about the cup. As much as I want every one of those cards, if I get one of those, that's the card of the month, and as much fun as that would be to have something as nice as that, I'd rather have the plethora of quality cards come in.
valid. Anything else from you guys in chat before we wrap up this week? Give it a few minutes. See if anybody else has anything they'd like to add. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, time's up. Hold it until next week. Nope, just kidding. Type faster, folks.
Harken back to your high school typing classes.
Nah, that's not happening. Bob Lewis isn't here. Actually, Bob could be listening in the background. He could be indulging in other dad related duties, potentially.
Yeah,
But
'cause I
no,
think about a
there won't.
month to count down there.
Yep, right around the corner. Right around the corner. And I will never live up to the hockey oracle name. It's been changed. I'm now the tennis oracle that Paul threw out there. I can throw out a lot of names. I grew up watching a lot of tennis.
Well, that was always on,
Yep.
especially on like the weekends, and if you woke up early, because Saturday morning cartoons didn't normally. If you were up like it wouldn't be Christmas, but if you got had like the Christmas wake up at like 5:30 or 6, didn't want to wake anyone up, and you just turned on the TV and turned on low. Well, there's tennis on. You like sports? There ain't anything else on. May as well put it on and watch.
Well,
So I know
my
that's
grand my grandparents made sure they had HBO. It was a compromise between both my grandparents because my grandfather watched the movies in Wimbledon used to be on HBO. You didn't get to watch it on regular TV. You only
no.
got Wimbledon on HBO. So, but anyways, wrap us up, Dave.
We want to thank you all for watching tonight. I know that wasn't the most sexy of topics, but again, we figured it needed a standalone and deserves some attention, as all things hobby do. Some have been driven, overdone, overbeaten. Um, I didn't think this topic had been, and I'm glad we got a pretty good discussion out of it. So thank everybody for joining in the chat, always helping the show mosey and meander along. Um, at some point, I think fairly soon, we'll be able to get our standalone, pre-recorded, quote unquote, I guess, side project um, up. I'd say within hopefully the next couple weeks, just depending on when stuff some stuff arrives, that we have some visual aids. 'Cause that's what this is going to be about, is a lot of visual aids that we need to have. So stay tuned for that. Join us next week, 7:05 p.m. Central Standard Time. Obviously, you know you're on this channel because you guys are watching, but I hope. And just keep supporting each other out there. That's what we got to do.
Yep.
He's Steve. I'm Dave. This has been the Insert Revolution podcast. Remember, this hobby, collect all the cards you want. It's the friendships that really matter. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.